Here is the latest weather update from Delhi. So listen up. The temperature right now is 35 degrees Celsius. But wait, it feels even hotter. The real feel, the 37 degrees Celsius. Even if you're hanging out the shade, you're still looking at about 33 degrees. So yeah, expect it to be warm and just a bit uncomfortable if you are stepping outside. Now let's talk about the sky. We have got what we call a hazy sunshine today. That means the sun is shining, but it's coming through a layer of dust or pollution in the air. So it's not a clear, bright blue sky. It's more like someone put a light filter on the sun. And what about the wind? Well, it's blowing in the west northwest at around 17 km per hour. Sometimes it gets a little stronger with wind gust of up to 38 km per hour. What is wind gust? Wind gust is a brief or sudden increase in the wind speed. That might give you a tiny bit of relief, like a quick breeze to cool you down, but it's not going to drop the temperature much. And now here is something super important. The air quality right now is unhealthy. That means it's not a good idea to stay outdoors for too long, especially if you are a kid, an elderly person, or someone with respiratory problems. Better to stay indoors when you can. All this information, where did I get from? It was provided by the Indian Meteorological Department. Yes, there is a whole department just for weather. Now you might be wondering, what is meteorology? Well, it's the scientific study of Earth's atmosphere. But seriously, what is this weather? Why is it so important that an entire department is dedicated to it? Weather refers to the day-to-day atmospheric conditions in a particular place, such as temperature, humidity, precipitation, wind, and atmospheric pressure. And these are called the elements of weather. Temperature, humidity, precipitation, wind, and atmospheric pressure are called the elements of weather. Let's break these elements down one by one, because understanding weather starts with understanding the basics. Temperature, it tells us how hot or cold the atmosphere is. So when you step outside and go like, oh, it's so hot, or during the winters, oh my god, it's freezing, you're talking about the temperature of the atmosphere. Humidity is all about the amount of water vapor hanging out in the air. If you're feeling sticky and sweaty, even when it's not raining, that's because there is a lot of water vapor in the atmosphere or high humidity. Precipitation is a fancy word for water falling from the sky. It could be rain, snow, or even hail. Basically, what happens when clouds just can't hold it anymore. Wind is air on the move. It travels from areas of high pressure to low pressure, kind of like air rushing in to fill a gap. That's why some days are breezy and others are super chill. And finally, the atmospheric pressure. Think of it as weight of the air above us. Yep, air has weight. It is the pressure or the force with which the air pushes down on everything or around it, including you and me. Pretty cool, right? These basic building blocks helps the meteorologist. Meteorologist is the scientist who studies all these things, and us understand what's happening in the sky and why we get different kind of weather. For a moment, let's step into the shoes of a meteorologist and try to understand what all instruments that are being used to measure these elements of weather. First off, we have a thermometer. This one tells us temperature, whether it is hot, cold, or somewhere in between. Then there is barometer that measures the atmospheric pressure. This helps us understand if the weather is about to change, like when a storm might be coming, because pressure variations are important indicator for predicting storms. Next is hygrometer. Sounds fancy, right? It measures humidity. That's the amount of water vapor floating around in the air. Then we have our rain gauge. This one's easy. It measures how much precipitation has fallen. That means rain, snow, or even hail. Moving on to wind, we've got an anemometer, which measures how fast the wind is blowing. And finally, there is this wind vane, which actually tells us which direction the wind is coming. Sometimes this anemometer and wind vane are combined together into a single instrument, which will show both the speed of the wind and the wind direction as well. So, can you spot any of these instruments around your school or neighborhood? I think you just might. Some schools have weather stations or science corners, and you never know what you will find nearby if you look closely. So I would strongly suggest you go and start looking for them. You might just discover that you've got a little meteorologist in you. Weather is what's happening in the atmosphere around us every single day. Sunny mornings, cloudy afternoons, sudden rains, all of that. It actually includes what we call the elements of air, such as temperature, humidity, that is the amount of water vapor in the air, precipitation, that is the rainfall, or it could be hailstorm, or it could be snow, any form of water coming down from the clouds. Then there is wind and atmospheric uh, pressure. Scientists who study weather are called meteorologists, and they use special tools to measure each element. Thermometer is used to measure temperature. Hygrometer is used to measure humidity. Barometer is used to measure the atmospheric pressure, and use rain gauge to measure the rain amount of rainfall received in a particular area. And regarding the wind, we use anemometer and wind vane to measure the wind speed and wind directions. So the meteorologists measure all these parameters, and that's how we get accurate weather updates on our phones every day.